Ugh. You know how you take a nap for like, I don't know, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours? It's never enough. You wake up feeling like hammered dog shit. I mean, maybe it's the middle of the day and you just got off work and 30-minute nap, just some shut-eye, just lay down for a bit. Then you wake up and you feel like crap. No matter how long you slept, and maybe it's dark outside. Sun's gone down, and you know it's time to wake up again. What if the supervillain in my story... What if the supervillain in my story is a jar of pickles that you couldn't open? I'm awake. I'm getting up. As a kid, I used to really enjoy staying up late. You'd play the HBO movies that have that da-na-na, da-na-na. If you're new here, I'm sorry. You guys are gonna like this next guy. Check this guy out.
If any vegan lost someone they cared about in that event, then I'm sorry for your loss. But in regards to everyone who died in the event...
It is, for most people, it's the anniversary of 9/11. For this guy, well, he's got something to say.
And go on about how, like, I'm disgusting because I don't care about human lives. But honestly, try to give me a valid argument other than they're humans, because that isn't an argument.
I wonder if he's seen this movie.
We are all animals.
My reason for not valuing the lives of humans is based on logic. I used to care about humans before I went vegan, but then I went vegan, and after a while I realized what egocentric pieces of shit most humans are, which is why...
God, it's like the lack of self-awareness is staggering. This is what happens when you mass produce and mass feed a certain population soy.
Just because they look different, which is the same mindset as a racist. Your human supremacist mindset is just as bad as a white supremacist mindset. Your belief that other species exist for you to use and abuse however you want is the exact same mindset which allowed white people to enslave black people.
He swung me. I'm a vegan now. That's it. I'm swearing it all off. Eggs,
erroneous.
Shoes, carpet, it's all gone. I'm now doing veganism.
White people enslaved black people because they looked different. Just like humans.
Shut it off.
Wombo combo!
This guy hasn't even been a vegan for that long. Or like 5 years. You have to imagine, how much of a vegan he's gonna be in 10.
I have here a pendulum. It's about 150 joules. And you would be there and it would hit you. You'd be dead. 150 joules is enough to kill you. Extremely quiet, because this is no joke. If I don't succeed in giving it 0 speed, you'd be dead. And this will be my last lecture. So please be very quiet.
And you fully support it. Just because it brings you pleasure. Just because it's convenient.
Oh, shit!
I'm evolving from a metapod into a butterfree.
You need to settle down and mind your business.
Like, what is the next step after deep vegan? Is it deeper vegan?
This isn't over until I say it!
Or does it just go straight to de-pest?
You don't agree with animal cruelty, and yet you are directly paying people to torture and murder animals for you just because you love chicken nuggets.
It's got a point. Yeah, I looked up the costs of an average diet for a vegan, what it would cost to actually live on a vegan diet. It's not that expensive. It's actually cost effective. The problem with vegans is it's a lifestyle. Especially problematic with the ethical vegans is everything must be ethical, including your clothing. Now the clothing is expensive. I looked up a shirt. I think it was like $70 or some kind of astronomical amount. Even the manufacturing of some of these materials has to be ethical, and in no way can it compromise on that, especially if you're living the deep vegan way. Do you remember those little sausages I mentioned at the store? The vegetarian sausages. I've cooked those before. Those were pretty good. All I had to do was set the shit in the pan and let it simmer for a couple hours.
You're a dick!
At best, it had the texture of a poorly cooked bratwurst.
This is a piece of garbage.
And then when you bit into it, it squirted. This thing squirted at you. These little veggie dogs. You cook them, you get them really hot in the center, and they squirt back at you.
The one animal that just happens to be the most convenient and most fun animal to ride, they, out of all animals, need to be ridden, according to people. Because if you don't ride them, they can't get enough exercise.
Bruh.
This is my vegetarian body!
And as you have probably guessed by now, someone who refuses to respect animals, someone who wants to force animals to be tortured and murdered just because they enjoy it, aka everyone who refuses to go vegan, I think those people are horrible people. Just like most of you think Nazis are horrible people.
If the deep vegans' benchmark for human cruelty is Nazis, then maybe his depth perception is both two-toned and low-tide. Perhaps all this animal activism that's manifesting itself as a overabundance of millennial squee for Bambi. Religions like to do this crap, right? You'd fast Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then pre-holidays, and then holidays, and then the entirety of Lent. Catholic fasting, they mandated what people could eat on these days, and you couldn't eat any meat.
It's just, yeah. Ian is a vegetarian. He doesn't eat meat.
Are you shitting me?
Certainly not butter. Butter was especially something interesting back in the day. In Rome, they had olive oil. Yeah, they had olive oil. That's what it was. They had olive oil, and you could use olive oil during even Lent, I believe, and during fasting days, but butter, of course, you could not. People up north, they didn't have access to the same crap that the Southerners did. So the Southerners, they had their olive oil, and then up in the northern icy areas, well, they had sheep, they had cattle, they produced dairy, milk, and
white supremacist, racist
butter. They produced butter and shit. So they sent their missionaries up north to collect, to sell, of course, expensive ass fucking
art book, which I put in quotes because it was actually just a case with a couple of pages.
You could eat butter if you paid a tax, essentially. It was some sort of tax. I forget what it was called. But the rich could absolutely afford this tax. The rich could afford this, so essentially it was the rich eating butter when they wanted to, because all they had to do was pay a tax for that day, and then they could have all the garlic bread they wanted. But the peasants were subjected to eating what was mandated by the church. Even then, it didn't really stop people from consuming butter. And largely, people couldn't stop because they didn't have a choice. Sometimes you can't grow certain crops year-round. I would imagine some people had some issues outside of feeding themselves and their family. They probably had to go to butter. And if the church had trouble selling this evangelistic dogma of you need to modify your diet on these days or you're going to hell, You could pay a tax.
We unkindled our youth. This gives me conniptions.
I mean, I don't know if this type of on-brand evangelistic marketing for any activism, it has an evangelistic slant to it, and that's why I say evangelistic. If you listen to the words that the deep vegan uses, they're meant to evoke strong emotions, right?
Your human supremacist mindset is just as bad as a white supremacist mindset. Just like humans enslave, torture, and murder trillions of animals every single year, and you fully support it just because it brings you pleasure, just because it's convenient.
Because why wouldn't you find it satisfying when horrible people get what they deserve? The only difference between most people and me is who we find to be horrible people.
A bit spicy.
Someone who refuses to respect animals, someone who wants to force animals to be tortured and murdered, aka everyone who refuses to go vegan, I think those people are horrible people.
There you go, baby.
Most people don't have time for this at the end of the day. And when it comes down to the wire, people are going to eat what they have to eat to survive. And diet's just like that. Diet and food and resources and humans, they're just like that. And modern society has dictated that now we need to re-examine our diets based on an ethics issue, an ethics question, which I think can be asked.
A guardian is someone a summoner can rely on, someone she can trust with her life. I wondered, did you feel that way about me?
We humans, we signify so much of our own suffering, our own pleasure, our own anxiety. We give life to ideas and concepts that may not actually even exist.
But go ahead and tell me I'm disgusting for being born with a brain that functions differently from yours, even though I can do nothing about it. Spoiler alert, I don't care what you think.
No, that's not why people are telling you you're disgusting. They're telling you you're disgusting because you're a cunt. You're fucking cunt. You come out of nowhere and you're like,
Hi, I'm vegan. Hi, I'm vegan. I hate non-vegans because they exploit, enslave, rape, kidnap, torture, and murder animals by the trillions every single year just for the sake of pleasure and convenience.
You know, listening to this guy's low angst, it's depressing. I tell you what, listen guy, your message is so wrapped up in anger and frustration that I don't think anybody can hear you. Look at it this way. Is this really how you want to represent? If you're trying to get people to come to your side, look, you gotta sell this idea of veganism. You gotta sell it to something other than its menu. But, I mean, why not? Why not make some cooking videos showing the plebes how to cook or make an alternative meal? Something different from a meatloaf. What's another alternate to meatloaf? I don't know, but I bet you could cook it and I bet you could show people how.
You're addicted to their flesh.
Like, I'm gonna go back to bed. I'm gonna put this issue to rest, and we're not gonna have this discussion ever again. You've been listening to Doge Radio. Like, subscribe, leave me a comment down below. Also, don't forget to share. Sharing is caring.